Is there a way they can get hold of you so that if they want to send a message, maybe they have something to say, is there a way they can get hold of you?
For Ecosi, we are visible on our social media platforms. On Facebook, we can respond. On X, we can respond. On Instagram, we've got an officer responsible for that. But I would encourage them to go through the Zimbabwe National Council of Children, because they have got more sustainable structures and means of engaging children at a daily basis.
All right. Thank you so much for coming. Is there something that you'd like to share to someone out there who is watching but thinks, this thing is not for me? It's a child that's thinking, this is not for me. I'm just too much of a child. Even if I say something, they'll not listen to me. The budget doesn't even matter. Is there something that you'd like to share to that child?
Children have also a responsibility to attend school. Wales government is ensuring that the infrastructure is there, but children also need to take responsibility to attend school, do their homework, ensure that the environment in schools is friendly. If it's not, they need to engage the authorities to say the environment is not friendly. But more importantly, we want also children to remember that education is their future. Education is an empowering tool for life. So going to school is their responsibility. They need to be educated. They should not concern themselves with issues of fees, but they need to attend school and ensure that they are learning. They also need to avoid drug and substance abuse that we are getting to hear from schools. They need to avoid such environments.
All right. So how do you strike a balance between administrative costs and programmatic impact to ensure that all these children, they benefit?
The state, as I said, is the duty bearer. So in terms of ensuring that infrastructure and administration is in place, that's a state responsibility. And we are aware that the legal and policy framework is in place. But for efficiency, schools need resources, and one of them is finance. And we urge Treasury to increase budgets for children, because it is their future. It is an investment. Education, when we educate our children, it's not a loss. It's an investment. We're investing in our future. They are the very same people who will be looking after us in our old age. So if we fail to invest in children, we are also failing to invest in our adulthood.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Ngithemba ke uzwile lokho abakukhulumileyo. Bakhulumile ke ukuthi wena as umntwana kumele uhambe esikolo ufunde ube wazi ke ama responsibilities akho. Njalo nxa kade ungulwana ucabangela ukuthi uba li prefect akulandaba. Njalo ngiyakutshela ke ukuthi try by all means ukuthi ube li prefect, try by all means ukuthi ujoine ke junior parliament, because these people, they actually have a voice and you can have a voice as well. So thank you so much for watching. This is goodbye.
My name is Yanda Zawe, a Form 2 student in Tidot High School. We're running under the theme Planeting and Budgeting for Children's Rights. We feel this is important because by investing in children's rights of today, we're giving them a brighter future. And mind you, the children are today are the leaders of tomorrow. So by investing in their rights and helping them have a better today, we are then giving our nation, our parents, our cities, and the country as a whole a brighter future.
My name is Miguel Mudzingo, an O-level student in Tidot High School, and the government has mainly helped us in education and food. But through BEAM, it has allowed children financial aid in order to go to school, and also through the introduction and continuation of the feeding scheme, it has allowed children to gain hearty meals and also increase the rate of attendance. By also raising the age of consent from 16 to 18, it has therefore reduced child pregnancies and teenage marriages. And also it has allowed pregnant ladies to go back to school in their workplaces during and after their pregnancies.
My name is Mary Maria, a Form 2 student at Tinold High School. Today I want to talk of something that I personally feel affects a lot of young people: emotional distress when their parents divorce or separate. This could either affect them mentally, emotionally, but also their schoolwork. But at the end of the day, there is no problem without a solution. So to solve this problem, parents can practice or improve their communication and make sure that their differences do not affect or do not get in the way of their children. That way we can fix the problem of emotional distress to students.
Zim Digital set-top box decoders with all the 7 local television channels and 6 national radio stations are now available for sale. The decoder will give you viewers access to ZBC News, ZBC TV, ZBC Drive TV, 3K TV, Kiona TV, NR TV and ZTN Prime. No subscription is needed as all the...
And I think it's very, very important for all of the children of Zimbabwe to know what their rights are. Usually people know the right to education,
the right to food,
the right to food, the right to shelter and so on. But then there's more than that. There's more than that.
Yes, there is more. And like I said and I mentioned before, Uguti, you're supposed to watch this so that you know what your rights are. It is very sad that most people think, Uguti, these things, they're just for those kids that are in the junior parliament. But no, as a student, as a child, you need to know this so that whenever something happens, for example, maybe you do not have enough desks at school, you need to speak up and talk about this. The only difference is that the junior parliamentarians, rather, they are the ones that take your issues to the top, because you cannot do that on your own.
Yes, indeed. And, Reverend Nyanete was just, just placing focus on the theme itself. Let's talk about the theme. The key words for me are definitely the planning and budgeting.
Yes. You cannot just get straight to what you want to do. You need to plan. And then there is budgeting, meaning that they're not just going to take any funds out of nowhere, but then these funds, they're just saved up so that when the amount is right, or maybe enough for one thing, then they work towards that.
Yes, that's true. And, just as was saying that, these things are done bit by bit. It's not like everything is just going to come in an instant at the snap of a finger. But then when you look at some of the developments that are actually going on right now, I can take an example of the Cybertruck coming through from the Ministry of ICT, where, the mobile computer lab, rather, where the students get the chance to actually go into a truck full of computers, laptops, and then they learn about computers. They learn how to use computers. And these are some of the moves that the government is making sure that the government is making to make sure that everyone gets access to ICT. ICT is getting closer to becoming a basic need. If you look at it, everyone now needs ICT. We've got e-learning. It's needed for communication, but e-learning being one of the key things that we're going to look at today, because we're talking about the children of Zimbabwe.
Yes. And honestly speaking, I really like what the government is doing. Sometimes we might complain, but the problem, it is us, the students, that are not taking these things seriously. There's no way that the government will come door by door and say, Tata Nancy laptop, zifundele. No, they're just going to give us something, and then we work towards that on our own. Talking about the budget tower, you mentioned your favorite keywords. I would say my favorite is progress since 2010. If you want something big to happen, you do not start today and then rush towards it. But then it seems that this has been happening since 2010. Imagine.
Yes. And over the years, actually, we've actually seen quite a number of developments that are then benefiting the children of Zimbabwe. Although more are still needed, there's already some that are already there. We talked about, the Ministry of ICT bringing in the mobile computer labs, and then we can talk about the Ministry of Youth and Vocational Training Centers coming through with the VTCs, the Vocational Training Centers. What I love about that whole concept is that it's not only placing focus on one who's academically gifted, but then what are you good at? It's not all about being good when it comes to the books, but then what are you good at? after the books.
Yes, I really feel like when it comes to what are you good at, this should be a discussion between teachers and children, because whenever parents are involved, they somehow give us so much pressure. And one of the things that Reverend actually mentioned was that whenever there's school things that are involved, children and the teachers, they are the ones that need to have a conversation on their own. But my favorite part is that whenever fees is included, no, children do not have anything to say about that.
Yes, indeed. Like what she is saying, the president also always talks about leaving no one and no place behind. And that also includes the issue of education from as little as grade 1, grade 7, Form 1, Form 6. You should not be left behind when it comes to education, which is why the government made sure that they called out to make to say, hey, no, no school has the right to turn away a child from school just because of not paying school fees and so on, which shows that the government is just prioritizing the education of children after everything else. And it's very, very important for everyone to get equal education. Missing 1 week of school just because you did not pay school fees would be really, really would really be destructive,
yes.
In the process. Yeah.
Yes, and besides missing 1 week of school, there's the embarrassment that comes. You know how they used to
Mentally,
do this?
yes,
They'll
yes.
just call out the names of the ones that paid fees, and then if you're one of those that did not pay fees, it really got to your head. Could you, okay, so I do not pay my fees now, I'm excluded. People really see you, and that is very bad for the children. I love that this has been abolished, and now children can go to school. Whatever issues that they have with the fees, it has nothing to do with them, but everything to do with the parents.
That's true. And not forgetting the number of innovation hubs we have right now. We talked about the VTCs, the vocational training centers, but then we cannot forget the innovation hubs which are coming through almost every year. You hear universities launching these innovation hubs. You see, even if some can I say symposiums and so on are held at universities like the University of Zimbabwe, you end up seeing students in school uniforms coming in with their innovations, and then that shows that all those things that have been implemented by the government, for example, the innovation hubs are bearing fruit even from the university level coming down to high school level. Yes, for the primary school students, I don't know if I can say much about innovation, but there's still potential. They're doing computer science, or
yes.
some call it IT or whatnot. But then it just shows that everyone is being included.
Everyone is included. That is so right. So I like that even us university students, we are included. Even primary students are included. It actually means that whatever age that you're in, you have access to computers. Do you know one of the sad things when I was growing up was not having access to a computer? But now, everywhere you go, there's so many hubs. You can use the computers at school, and I really love what the government is doing. They are overworking even on our side.
Yes, indeed. And one of the highlights for me today is the fact that when you look at the junior parliament that people are going to see debating today and so on, it's a direct replica of the senior parliament. What I mean is that everything that you see in the senior parliament you're going to see today. And we also have the child president who's just going to do the walk and have the inspection of the guard of honor very, very soon. So that's another thing that you look forward to. And also not forgetting that the president of the Republic of Zimbabwe, His Excellency Comrade Mnangagwa, is going to grace this event as the guest of honor. So you ought to look forward to that as well, because we've got a very special guest, as I said. Who doesn't want to be there?
Who doesn't want to be there? And like I mentioned before, please, I urge you to tell your friends to tune in. This is at BCTV. You do not want to miss this out. Talking about the fact that this is a replica of what happens in the senior parliament, I love how these children are being groomed to be better people. Even at school, they're going to be cool kids. They're going to know what is done, where it is done. They are basically educating these children to grow to be better people.
All right. So anyways, we're just going to have an interview very, very soon. So you just make sure that you do stay tuned and enjoy more of the live proceedings that are coming through right here, the new Parliament building in Mount Hampton. Okay, so you just heard Dino and myself just talking about some of the achievements of the government and some of the developments that we have seen over the years and the progress since 2010, as our theme is just saying. And I've come to you right now with Honorable Minister Tino Machakaire, the Minister of Youth and Vocational Training Centers as well, and who's just going to enlighten us more on these issues. Where are we now? Where are we going? What can we expect? And so forth. Honorable, thank you so much for just making time for us.
Thank you.
All right, so Honorable, they made you planning and budgeting for children's rights progress since 2010.
Yes.
So I kuma planning and budgeting ku progress yedu tapapi chataita kubva tongoti 2010 chatinokwanisa kuti izvi zvasiyana.
Ndinotenda zvikuru. Chekutanga ndoda kutenda His Excellency the President Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa nekuumba kwavakaita kurukota the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training. Naizvozvo pane zvakawanda zvanga zvakasarira in terms of infrastructure kuti tikwanise ku develop our youth, but we want to thank him for supporting us very well. And as you can see, we've started a lot of programs. We are working around the country to make sure we start resuscitating our infrastructure. We've also started to invite our youngsters and train them skills, but not more skills. Of course, you can go to higher primary, secondary education, but you need skills.
Yes.
So some of them, they've already started, and most of our vocational training centers are now moving towards the development of these programs. But if you see this time around, we are moving across the country, around all the 10 provinces, to make sure that we see the problems that they have. Remember, this constituency was left for some time, but now we are now resuscitating all our VTCs. Though the budgets sometimes are a bit limited, but we will try to work with what we have to develop our vocational training centers. Secondly, His Excellency in 2024 launched the youth service in Zimbabwe, whereby we need to start training. Want to thank the President. There are so many initiatives, the youth empowerment programs, empowering our youth in rural areas, in urban areas. But I want to promise the nation that we are moving towards developing our youth, empowering our youth, equipping them with tools of trade so that they are able to excel and also develop themselves through the skills that we are providing them.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. And, I liked how you talked about, development of skills. Yes. Lose motivation because you are going to score last class and it's really demotivating.
Yes.
But matter skill and the among skills and train contribute to development in Kenya.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
As you can see, we've got a lot of infrastructure projects that are happening in the country.
Yes.
There are so many construction works that are happening, which is one of the mandates that we have, to make sure that labor builders, we train them to be builders, so they can also be able to be part of the initiatives, part of the programs, construction. This is what we want.
Yes.
Welding, there's a lot of welding work that is happening. We will take you to some skills of welder. We are now trained on how to build. So motor mechanics, you can also, there are so many cars in the country.
That's true.
But we lack skilled people. But now, as we go forward, trying to make sure that we leave no one behind, we are going to invite them and provide them with skills. Though our capacity is limited, but we will try our best to make sure that everyone is accommodated.
Oh, wow, thank you so much. Speaking of everyone being accommodated, you also mentioned the youth empowerment programs. The Apimam youth empowerment programs I'm a launcher, and also how can a young person who's watching right now take part? I think I should I want honorable kutipani programs but akadai inini dine chipo dine chido dino how can I participate?
We start with the Empower Bank. We've got our youth empowerment bank whereby we give loans to our youth. But now, as you can see, sometimes the bank is incapacitated. We will try by all means to make sure that we accommodate them in terms of giving them loans. We keep them with loans. We've got agriculture programs, with agriculture inputs, we're also providing them. So there are so many activities that we are trying, but allow me to say, we will make sure that no one is left behind in terms of providing equipment or tools of trade in the line of skills that we've trained.
Yes, indeed. And for students who are failing to afford education due to issues like affordability, vana vakawanda vanogona kutadza kuenda kuchikora chinzi kuna mari yakakwana school fees, pamwe mubereki wane akashaya saka mwana asara nehwane mubereki, pamwe mubereki wacho hashandi kana kuti mari ari kuwana. It's just too little to afford them education. Vana vakadaro, this is one of the reasons why people have gathered here to studies of the Day of the African Child, where people were protesting against that. Vachitaura kuti one quality, free education, yekuti munhu wese awane dzidzo equality yakanakisisa. What is the government doing in terms of that as well to make sure that that child who's facing affordability issues is not left behind?
Thank you so much. This is the thing. We've got so many programs that are in line to support such students who cannot afford. But also, His Excellency the President, through his presidential scholarship, is also supporting some, and we want to appreciate him for that. But we also appeal to our President that we need to keep on pursuing scholarships, because we don't want to leave our students with no quality education. We will try by all means to make sure that we keep on appealing to our principal to say this is what is happening. Can you keep on supporting? We know it's not it's a bit hard, but we'll try to make sure that we support with the little that they can afford.
Oh, thank you so much, Honorable Minister. And just before we round this up, there's one, can I say, can I allow me to call it a demon as well, of drug and substance abuse. It is really, really destroying our youth. It can actually affect the development, because maybe and so on. So what is the government doing in terms of planning and budgeting to combat these problems of drug and substance abuse?
Thank you very much. We also need to thank the President for putting more focus on the issue of fighting drug and substance abuse. As you are aware, there's a committee that was formed, the task force that was formed specifically to fight the issue of drug and substance abuse. There are so many awareness campaigns that are happening around the country, so many programs that are happening. There's a fund that is allocated for the programs of fighting drugs and substance abuse. So I want to thank His Excellency for that. And the pillar also is a ministry. We are under the demand reduction pillar that also looks into such issues of drug and substance abuse. And is going forward, you see that the pace will increase and increase, because the issue of drug and substance abuse, it's a threat to the nation. It's a serious issue, and it has to be treated as a critical issue. So this is what we are doing, and we need a They must be brought to book so that we fight this problem as a nation together.
Yes, thank you so much. And lastly, Honorable Minister, you talked about the youth service and how it encourages patriotism. How can we encourage the younger generation to be more patriotic? How can we motivate them? Development and TV. Part. And youth service, how exactly is it grooming the youth of Zimbabwe so patriotic and focused on development?
Thank you. Like I said, this is a whole of society approach. The public and the government. We need to educate our people the importance of youth service in Zimbabwe. It is not for the government's benefit. It is for the children, for our young people to also understand the purpose of developing them, the purpose of instilling discipline in them, the purpose of guiding them, on them to have knowledge on their nation, where the nation came from, where it is, where it's going. What have we achieved as a nation? It also guides them on principles, even the issue of fighting drug and substance abuse, it also comes with these programs so that we train them. If you look at it, on our last intake, there were so many drug addicts, but they are now testifying that I cannot go back to that because they were trained. So through the process itself, it will teach you, it will instill fear in you to avoid the intake of drug and substance abuse.
Oh no, thank you so much. And you know, that's one of the benefits of this day. Someone is watching ZBC TV right now and they did not know about all of these government initiatives. They did not know, maybe someone did not know about the youth service and what your ministry, your ministry under your leadership is doing to make sure that children get education, they take part in development and so on. So we really appreciate you, Honorable Minister. We're looking forward to more and more projects that will see you unfolding.
Thank you so much.
Right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so you see what I was talking about and what we were talking about earlier on. You know, it's very, very important for all of us to just take part in the development of our country. You heard what the minister said. It's a society issue. We need to help each other out. You can play a part when it comes to helping in the development of our country, no matter how young you are. You can also take part when it comes to grooming a child to take part in the development of our beautiful, beautiful country. So anyways, we're just going to just make sure that you stay tuned for another conversation that we're going to be having, which is centered on this Day of the African Child, as well as the official opening of the 33rd session of the Junior Parliament happening right here in at the new Parliament building in Mount Hampton. I'm very, very well. So I just want you to start off by introducing your name, introducing yourself, and just tell us everything you're doing. I remember you were at the Junior Parliament a couple of years ago. No, I'm so happy to see you once again.
Yes, making it.
So just introduce yourself.
All right, my name is Johnson Truth.
Yes.
But I'm affectionately known as Honorable Truth. I'm now part of the Junior Parliament Alumni of Zimbabwe, which was recently launched by the Honorable Minister Tino Machakaire on Thursday.
All right,
last Thursday.
That's an amazing initiative right there. So we're going to talk about what you did later on and talk about, you know, the significance of the Junior Parliament itself, the parliamentarians and so on, the roles they play. But let's first talk about this new one, this new project, this new initiative, the Junior Parliament Alumni, right? Yes. So please tell me, what exactly is this all about?
All right, thank you, Taona. So the Junior Parliament Alumni is actually a project of the government of Zimbabwe, and we want to also extend our heartfelt gratitude to the Zimbabwe Youth Council. It is our mother body. In Shona we say they've been supporting us. It was not going to be possible if it was not for them. So we actually had a launch where we reunited former junior parliamentarians since 1991. There was actually someone who attended, was in our first session of the Junior Parliament, the first session of the Junior...
first one, 1991?
Yes. And, you know, it was actually quite a memorable event where young people reunited, shared experiences, and more importantly, we networked.
Yes.
Trying to map a way forward, because in leadership we believe that it's not just a journey, but it's a journey that continues. Yes, so we witnessed continuation of the Junior Parliament, and our theme was honoring the past, shaping the future.
Right, no, that's an amazing theme, and especially looking at the concept of combining the two now.
Yes.
But what is the main purpose of the Junior Parliament Alumni? What can the people expect from?
We are trying to bridge the gap between the Junior Parliament and the former parliamentarians, so that the current crop can harness advices from the former parliamentarians.
All right.
Because we have been witnessing that there was a gap, and His Excellency, the President of Zimbabwe, Dr. Idi Mnangagwa, was always asking about this issue. So the Zimbabwe Youth Council saw it fit so that we can have the Junior Parliament Alumni, which is going to advise the current crop of the parliamentarians.
So does this mean that for the current junior parliament, the newly elected ones, are they going to be having issues brought to them, and then they take the issues to you, or they can even still make decisions on their own and address some issues on their own without the alumni?
All right, the alumni is just going to support the junior parliament, because one thing that's lacking in the junior parliament is support, is in resources. And one thing that we highlighted during the launch is that we don't want to see junior parliamentarians suffering after their terms of office. You know, we have been seeing other former parliamentarians being vendors soon after the term of office. It's not something that we would want to see. So we are trying to harness support and offer support to the junior parliament, so that it can be an admirable thing, that every kid should feel so excited, should desire to be in the junior parliament. That's what we are trying to do, to decorate it in a way that it attracts everybody from all corners of Zimbabwe, leaving no one and no place behind.
All right, so let's just go back a bit to the junior parliament itself. You talked about support and so on. So where does the role of, what are the roles of the junior parliament? Where do they start and where do they end? You talked about the challenges, right? So if they are facing those financial challenges, but maybe they're facing funding challenges, what exactly are they supposed to do?
All right, the junior parliament is a voice of the children, because we say that anything for the children without the children is totally against the children. So the junior parliament now comes in to be the voice of the children, taking different issues, collecting different challenges from different constituencies, now coming to the parliament, so that they can make policies that fit, that are so favorable to the children. We have a pending bill, the Children Amendment Bill, which was actually as a result of the junior parliament.
Tell me more about it, actually.
So the amendment Children's Bill is a bill that states that anyone who is between the ages of 0 to 18 is still a child in Zimbabwe. So those are some of the pertinent issues that are still yet not resolved, that the junior parliament are still pushing for. Yes.
All right. No, that's actually an amazing initiative. Now that I know of the alumni, now that I know one of the most important roles of the junior parliament and what they expected to do, and now in terms of funding, I want to know. Usually, when we talk about the junior parliament needing funding, give me an example of what they would need it for. Since you are bringing the issues onto the table for the senior parliament to see, and then they address them, where does the funding part come in now?
All right, the funding part comes in to play a role in actually raising awareness to the children, because some of the children, they don't even know their rights. So there is a need for that junior MP to be on the ground, to do initiatives, projects, so that there is an awareness. Children are aware of their rights. So that's where funding is coming into place. And we also want to decorate the one who is doing the duty, so that when he is serving, he has everything that he needs to serve. Because leaders are servants of the people. But for them to be servants, they need resources. Okay?
Yes.
That's what I have to say.
All right. So before we just jump on to the next issue, let me just break it down. You said you're getting support from the government, which is the senior parliament, and then you're also they're now getting support from the alumni. Right. Now, how can the general populace, how can the ordinary person, how can the community member support the junior parliament as well? Because I'm sure that now that you've got 3 supporters, it would make more sense, right?
All right. We are now trying to bring in the general, a common person, to the picture. So a general person could actually be a supporter by attending events, listening to what children have to say. Because we have a tendency of people that would want to listen, but not to listen in a way that they want to understand, but they want to reply. So we want to correct that narrative to say we want people that are able to understand and listen the concerns of the people, especially children concerns. Yes.
So that means that as a community member, I also have a part to play when it comes to supporting the junior parliament.
Yes.
All right, no, thank you so much. That was a very interesting conversation, and I would like to thank you, the alumni, and also thank the Honorable Minister, Tino Machagaire, for just bringing up this initiative of the junior parliament alumni. So thank you so much. We've met before, we'll meet again, and we will meet again. Thank you so much.
Yes, brother man. Thank you so much.
Right.
I really appreciate it.
All right, so I am sure that you have seen that everyone is trying by all means to work hard and in terms of trying to just better the lives of the children. So we've got the junior parliament being supported by the newly launched junior parliament alumni. We've got the government itself supporting the junior parliament, and now there's also a challenge left for you as a community member to also support the junior parliament. And you know, I love how he talked about you can never address the issues of children without talking, without involving the children themselves. You can't be telling this person, hey, they're facing these challenges, without having the children themselves being involved and talking about these problems themselves. So there's a lot of issues that we need to see addressed very, very soon. And you've heard the minister talking about the issue of how education is now more accessible. You've heard the issue of how now people are being encouraged to take part in the development of the country. Initiatives like the youth service, which is there to make sure that you get the drive, you get the motivation. And it's not only about motivation, also making sure that we clean up our people, we clean up our youth when it comes to issues like that of drug and substance abuse. And the Honorable Minister also gave one realistic example of there's some people who joined the youth service, and then they were actually drug addicts prior to that, and then after joining the youth service they found themselves being better people and bettering their lives. It just shows that everyone is so concerned about the welfare of the children, and funding is definitely promised. You heard what the minister said as well. He said it's going to come in bit by bit. Obviously we do not have the budget and the funding to do everything at the same time, but bit by bit everything is just going to be falling into place. And once again, thank you so much. You're actually watching us broadcasting to you live the official opening of the 33rd session of the Junior Parliament, broadcasting live from the new Parliament building in Mount Hampton. And right now it is now a very, very special moment, and you heard me talking about a very special person gracing this event, and I'm talking about the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, His Excellency Emerson Mnangagwa, who has just arrived right now, as you can see. And this is the moment we've all been waiting for, because he is the guest of honor. This is a very special moment for the kids, for the children as well, because it also shows that the president is so concerned and is definitely prioritizing the welfare of children. Imagine with his busy schedule and everything, he has definitely prioritized this day and set it aside to be here with these children right here at the new Parliament building in Mount Hampton. And what that the president is going to talk about these issues as well. He's going to definitely talk about the progress that the government has made. We're going to see even the progress that the Second Republic has made when it comes to progress in terms of planning and budgeting for children's rights and everything. So it is a very, very special day. As I said, who would not want to be at such an event where the president will set aside his time and definitely come and be with the young children of Zimbabwe, which just shows what he's always saying, which means that everyone, it doesn't say it's just talking about everyone taking part in the development of our country, brick by brick, stone upon stone. So that's another thing that you ought to look forward to. Leaving no one and no place behind is another thing that you're seeing right here, because all parliamentarians are from different provinces. Students travel from all 10 provinces as well to be right here to witness the official opening of the 33rd session of the Junior Parliament. But anyways, we're just going to take you to just see and also get the appreciation of what is happening on the ground. All right, so very soon we're going to see the child president just inspecting the guard of honor. And you heard me earlier on talking about how important this part is, because we're talking about discipline and how it's one of the main focus of that guard of honor inspection. That walk is a very special one, and I also talked about how it is one of my favorites. So that's one thing you're definitely going to have to look forward to. And very soon we're actually going to see the debate. And not only that, after the junior parliamentarians have their debate, we're going to have the ministers, the honorable ministers, respond to all their issues and see how some of these problems that they're facing as children can be addressed, which just shows that inclusion is very important. And also, when we talk about inclusion, if any child between the ages of 12 and 18, it can join the junior parliament. It doesn't matter what background you're from. It doesn't matter what community you're from. As long as you're a child of Zimbabwe, you definitely have the right, and you can definitely get the chance to be part of the junior parliament, which just goes on to show that the government is so concerned about inclusion, making sure that no one is left behind when it comes to these development issues. Because how can we talk about development, leaving one province, taking one province, taking this province, going on to this province, and so forth, which is what we even see when we talk about the Independence Day celebrations. We have the Children's Independence Party, which is, and they're constantly rotating, which just shows that no one is being left behind when it comes to the issues of development. And I was just excited just seeing that the guest of honor, His Excellency President Emerson Mnangagwa, has arrived at the event.
My blood was excited. One thing about him is that when he shows up, it's not just you who is excited. Even our blood, there's something. Even the weather just changed because someone great is right here. But then, Tawana, when you were doing your interviews, I really loved what these people were saying. I really loved how they are putting children first, and they think that we are the future. Meaning, certainly, we are the future.
Yes, and let's just go back to what the child president said after his election. Taking everything that's put on paper and then making sure that it's put into practical. It's put into practice. The minister also talked a bit about that, talking about how we have all these plans, but sometimes we can't do all of those things at once, but they're going to be happening bit by bit. And it just shows that the president is so concerned and so focused on making sure that every Zimbabwean child is satisfied and is happy, living a happy life. You get everything that the next person is getting as well.
Yes, and that message coming from someone very, very young, it means that it's only the body that is young, but the mind is very great, because he mentioned that everything that is put on paper, he wants to make sure that it actually happens, meaning everything that the children have been complaining about, it is not just to continue just being a complaint, but it's something that he wants to work on, making sure that there is going to be change. I like ukuthi abantwana yibo ke abasebebona into zokwenza ngalokho okwenzakalayo Thawo. It's really great.
Yes, indeed. And soon we're going to see the lineup of the procession, which is going to be something like this. We're going to have the child judges, followed by the junior parliament procession into the parliament, and then thereafter it will be the time of for the reading of the proclamation by the clerk of parliament, and lastly the procession of the child president. And this is just coming back to what we were saying about how everything here is a direct replica of the senior parliament. So when it comes to the issues being brought into the table, there's definitely going to be no filter. The children are going to be saying it as it is. We're facing these and those challenges. We need help. We need your assistance. We need funding. We need this and that. And the good thing, they come up with solutions.
Yes, and you mentioned something to do with discipline. I love how these soldiers are so disciplined. No fidgeting, no unnecessary movement. They're doing exactly what real soldiers are. So maybe these are soldiers by birth. Like you mentioned that William Shakespeare mentioned some leaders are just born great.
Yes, and some achieve greatness and some have a greatness thrust upon them. But then as Zimbabweans, we can safely say that we were born with greatness. And when you talk about greatness being in us, it means that we all ought to take part in the development of our country. Are you good at technology? Then take part, then just come up with ICT projects that can actually help the next person. And you also heard how there's now the issue of development of skills, not just the academic part of things, not just the algebra, not just the ABCs, not just the 1, 2, 3s, but also the skill. What are you good at? Do you think you're into cars so much? Yes, you can get the chance to be a mechanic through the support of the government. Do you think you can be a carpenter? Yes, you can get the chance through the VTCs, vocational training centers from the government under the Ministry of Youth and Vocational Training. So it's very, very crucial that we're seeing these developments on a daily basis.
It is very true and crucial. And one thing that I love about these developments is that the children do not have to worry about anything. There are so many things that are happening in power. Like I mentioned before, that these children are doing something great. Do you see how disciplined they look?
Yes, indeed. And now we're actually seeing the arrival of the child president, and that means that very, very soon we're going to be getting the inspection of the guard of honor. So we're just going to take you right there so that you actually see what's going on. And you might think, oh, what are you talking about? That's why we bring it to you live on ZBC TV, so that you're not left behind when it comes to what is actually happening right now. So it's definitely one of my favorite parts, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Later on, we're going to see the child president also delivering his speech, but now we're going to witness his arrival. He's also arriving in style, just as you can see.
I see that. He really is the child president from the looks of it, and everything is happening exactly how it would happen if the president was to arrive. And it's amazing, Kawana. This is great.
Yes, this is very amazing. And also, let's just not look at how beautiful it is, but let's also look at the future benefits of how it's going to come onto these children. How is this child going to benefit? It gives them even more motivation. Maybe a child watching right now is now getting the drive, inspiration and motivation that, hey, if person A can do it, if this student can do it, if this child can do it, then what can possibly stop me?
Yes, meaning that this is not just a one-person winning type of information and program that's happening here. Everyone is winning. One child is the president, others are benefiting from what he is going to give us when he is the child president.
Yes, indeed. And now we have seen his arrival, and very, very soon, as we just promised, we're going to see the inspection of the guard of honor, which is definitely one of the highlights of this very, very special event. And once again, let me just remind you, if you're just joining us here, watching the official opening of the 33rd session of the Junior Parliament, broadcasting to you live from the new Parliament building in Mount Hampton. So everything that you're seeing right there on your screens is happening as we're actually seeing on the ground as well. So you definitely have to make sure that you stay tuned, and not forgetting how important the theme is: planning and budgeting for children's rights progress since a discussion that's going to be focused on inside there, where people are going to talk about some of the issues that they face and how can these things be planned for, how can some things be planned against, like drug and substance abuse. And it's actually so amazing to see that even the government is setting aside funding to make sure that we tackle such problems like the one of drug and substance abuse.
Yes, Tawa, especially the issue of drugs and substance abuse. It has been talked about all over, and I really think and I hope that there's going to be some sort of change, especially with the child president that mentioned that he wants to make change. He just doesn't want to talk about things, but he wants to make sure that there will be change.
Yes, and right now we're actually showing you what is happening on the ground, which I'm really hoping that one or two people might be inspired. And once, as I just said, the sky is the limit, and which means that and as long as you're between 12 and 18, you can actually get the chance to be doing what these children are doing right here. And we're talking about how people are still fighting for their rights when it comes to education, when it comes to quality education, when it comes to free education. And then some of those answers are coming. We've got scholarships now coming in. Yes. We've got presidential scholarships coming in.
There's also BEAM.
Yes, exactly. To make sure that no matter what challenges you might be facing, and obviously there's the issue of merit. If you're working hard enough to achieve, to obtain it, to achieve it, you will definitely get it, leaving no one and no place behind.
Yes, and I love the fact that these children are studying at a very, very young age, 12 to 18 years old. So what were you doing at that age?
Well, I can say I was concerned about development, but then I didn't get the platform like what they are right now.
Yes, and I love that they are now examples to you who is watching at home. If you want to participate, you gotta make sure that you work hard. This is not just about participating, but it's about to make an example of yourself and making sure that people at your school students at your school, they are looking up to you, and you have something that you are doing.
Yes, and indeed. So it's very, very important for us to know even the peers that we have at school and so on. It's very crucial for you to be there for the people that you're with all day long. The minister talked about how as a community they all have parts to play. That this person is the drug lord. This person is the main supplier of these drugs that are destroying the communities. Why not take part and be there for your peer? Why not take part and be there for the next community member?
Yes, Tawa, not only one person can make change, but together we can make change. There's no way only one person can make change. We need to stand together, and we're seeing that so many people here are standing together as one, as we are waiting for the child president. Well, rather, he is already here, but there's so many things that are happening right now. I see the young soldiers, they are right here, and they're also talking. Ngiyabona ke ukuthi baningi abantu lapha abasebe khona, ama soldiers amancane, ngiyalitshela ke ukuthi bamile, bale discipline, bayakhanya ukuthi ngabantu abazakhokhela ilizwe kusasa. Kutshengisela ukuthi even nawe nxa usekhaya ungakwanisa ukwenza i-change, and kumele uyenze i-change. Nxa ubukele nxa kulabanye ofunda labo, make sure ukuthi lawo uyabatshela nje, uyabaxwayisa ngalokho okwenzakalayo. So as we are watching now, ngiyababona nje ukuthi abantu abasebenza khona kulamabhiza akhona lapha, so many horses, very big ones.
Yes, and I'm sure that's one of the most interesting things for some of the children who are right here, who have gotten the privilege to be tuned in and watching here. But it was always in the last time. We're just going to be cruising over and just to see what is actually happening on the ground, so that you're not left behind.
Yes, I love your guns. Balindeleke ukuthatha ilizwe lethu, babone okwenza ngalo ilizwe leli nelawe, and bazakugcina kuhle.
Alright, so now the child president has arrived, as you can see, and we're just going to take over and
Good morning, Permission granted. Permission granted.
So it's very, very important for us not to just, talk about all of these things, but have the children talk about some of these issues themselves. And I'm sure you heard me talking about, actually you didn't hear me talking about it, but you heard one of the former junior parliamentarians talking about how, we cannot talk about children's issues without involving the children themselves. And I'm saying this because I'm joined by Honorable Tamelson, who is a former junior parliamentarian, who is now part of the Senate. So, well, this transition from being a junior parliamentarian into the Senate is something that I really found interesting, and something that you're going to know more about today, and not just today, but I mean right now. Honorable, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for just coming to for this conversation that we're having.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
All right, so without wasting a lot of time, I want to first get to the foundation of it. Let's go back to the past. The past and the future, they have a connection, right? And the present as well.
Yeah, sure.
Tell me about your constituents. Which constituents are you from?
So back in 2022, I was representing Airport constituency in the National Assembly.
Yes. Right. And tell me what you did as the representative, as the child parliamentarian. We were talking about how it's not all about the blazer, how it's not all about the prestige, how it's not all about the dignity that comes with it, but it's also about what you're doing for the children in your constituency. What have you done?
Back in 2022, I hosted what I would like to call the Anti-Child Marriage Forum, where I invited various religious leaders from around my constituency, and also other leaders in the healthcare. I invited the police, I invited the sister in charge, the VFU, where we got to discuss around child marriages in airports, because child marriages are really rampant in airports. Maybe because of poverty that is really widespread in airports, and also even now they're still there, the child marriages are still there, because even coaching from the statistics of the first quarter, January, February, March, we had around 125 child marriages and around 93 teenage pregnancies recorded. So now there's still much more work to be done, but then at that time I did my part, and I'm back again to actually see how we can further do more work so that we address this pandemic along with other social issues like drug and substance abuse, because airports is a ghetto, right? And they having a population of around 360,000 people plus, and drug and substance abuse is rampant among others.
Yes, wow. And it's so heartbreaking to see. I've hearing the numbers now firsthand from someone who actually did some research in it. So I know that a child, when it comes to this issue of marriage, is allowed to say no. They're allowed, they've got the right to say no. But then it leads me to the question, we're talking about the rights of children, right? That's one of the focus of today.
Yes, sure.
Do you think the children, you've worked with them, you've talked to them, you've interacted with them, do you think they know that they have the right to say no to marriage?
Right, the children, I think they have an idea that they have the right to say no to marriage. But now what happens is, most of the time when these children get pregnant, these marriages are mostly due to pregnancy, to teenage pregnancies. It's not marriage on the basis of just like I want to get married, but usually it's because they would have gotten pregnant, and now the parents at home are afraid of taking the responsibility for the pregnancy, and now the child
just marry them off.
Let me just get married. Or maybe the parents say, no, you should go to your husband.
Right, so I hate to say this, but partially we're also blaming the parents of these people. In fact, we can fully blame them if they're giving the blessing, if they're marrying off their children to older men and so on, if when the children are minors. So what are the consequences? I know that there are consequences for the person who marries the child, but how are the consequences for the person who marries off that child, that parent?
All right, the Constitution doesn't allow it, right?
Yes.
But then what's happening right now is, you see, the people are afraid of being blamed, right?
Yes.
To the extent that they cannot report the one who impregnates the child. So they want to cover face, more like for the public, for the respect of the family, they would just want to cover things up, and in a way they are harming the child, because when they cover up, child marriage, if you ask me, it's a crime.
Yes, it is.
And it's even a worse crime when the parents try to cover face. and sometimes it's just disgusting.
Because they're allowing the child to suffer behind the scenes, and then they want everything to look so perfect and good on the outside. It's so sad. So I believe that these parents should also face the same consequences as the person who actually married the child.
And I also think that as a community, we can also help curb this pandemic by actually reporting to the police, because you find that the parents are not reporting, right? But you, if you see your neighbor married,
you know that something
is fishy going on, and you would have to report to the police, to the VFU, to
So are there more organizations, or can I say more offices that one can feel free to just approach when they face such issues? I know, some people, especially for a child, they might just be intimidated by the feeling of walking into a police station, seeing police officers all around, and then being asked questions, they're writing notes. There might be some sort of intimidation for a child, you know.
I understand.
So are there platforms that are set to assist the children so that when they have something like that to report, when they have something like that to talk about, they can freely do so?
Yeah. All right, we have organizations like Youth Advocates Zimbabwe and Childline that are coming in to say that let's help the kids. They have set up the toll-free numbers for Youth Advocates as 393 and for Childline as 116, where you can just call and state your issue. And something that I find interesting about these helplines is because they can even track the kids, the children, to say he called us, and they can do follow-ups to say, where are we on that issue that we talked about? You said you were facing abuse. Where are we now? Something like that. And we also have, you can also visit the clinics, and also not to forget the victim-friendly unit, because the police officers that are at the free victim-friendly unit are very friendly, and they have been trained on how to handle children, and we also
talk to these children and so on.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Thank you so much for enlightening us on that one. Now moving on to the issue of your transition from the junior parliament, as and you're a former junior parliamentarian, but now you're in the junior senate as well. First of all, allow me to say congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Now talk to me about this transition. What is this all about? Why the transition from junior parliament into the Senate?
Alright, so the junior parliament is a mirror or a replica of the senior parliament. So all this while we didn't have like senators coming into their house. We had junior parliament, and the senators that went there were just senators. But now that since junior parliament is a replica of the senior parliament has the Senate, which is the older fellows, and now we're coming in to say we as the older fellows that are 21 years and below and have been in the junior parliament.
You're not the seniors of the junior parliament. Alright, thank you so much, Honorable, for just coming through. Looking forward to hearing you talk about more research and more support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, so you see what I was talking about when I was saying it's not all about us telling you what is happening on the ground, but then also involving the children to actually talk about it. And you've seen that these junior parliamentarians work really, really hard, research and come up with solutions to address these problems that the children of Zimbabwe and children in their communities are facing. So just make sure that you stay tuned as we just cruise over to see and enjoy the live proceedings.
seated. Honorable members, may you grant me the honor and privilege to welcome and invite His Excellency, the Child President, Lionel Mazarire, to deliver the State of the Nation address and outline the legislative agenda for the 33rd session of the Children's Parliament. The President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Your Excellency, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa. The Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable Retired Dr. C.G.D.N. Chiwenga. The Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable Colonel Retired K.C.D. Mohadi. The Minister of Defense and of ZANU-PF, Honorable O.C.Z. Kashiri Muchinguri. The Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Advocate J.F.N. Mudenda. The President of the Senate, Honorable M.M. Chinomona. The Minister of State for Marginal West, Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Honorable M. Chombo, and all Ministers of Provincial Affairs and Devolution here present. The Minister of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training, Honorable T. Machakaire, and all Ministers here present. The Deputy Minister of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training, Honorable K. Mupamanga, and all Deputy Ministers here present. Chairpersons of Portfolio and Thematic Committees, Senators, and Members of Parliament here present. The Chief Secretary to the President and Cabinet, Dr. M. Rushwaya. Chairman of the Public Service Commissioner, Dr. V. Hungwe. Permanent Secretaries here present. The Chairperson of the Zimbabwe Youth Council, Ms. Ara Mugwagwa. Senior government officials here present. The Speaker of the Children's Parliament. The President of the Children's Senate. Members of the Children's Parliament. Children's Council. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, boys and girls. Good morning, Madam President of the Senate, Honorable Speaker, distinguished members of the Children's Parliament. What a glorious moment it is. My heart is swelling with pride and joy, yes, even a flutter of nerves, because today, not only for ourselves, but for millions of other children and young people across Zimbabwe, first and foremost, allow me to pay tribute to our President, His Excellency, Comrade Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa. Your unwavering commitment and bold vision in the Second Republic have given us a louder voice, brighter hopes, and a firmer belief in our potential. Because of you, Your Excellency, the rights of every child are no longer ink on paper. They are a very promise of our daily lives and the foundation of our shared future. Honorable members, today you will debate the pressing issues that shape our tomorrow. But I ask each of us, as we remember the brave children of Soweto, let our debates be more than just words, but a pledge to serve. In our schools and communities, let us shine light on the perils of drug and negative pressure. Let us launch support clubs where young survivors of addiction share their victories. Let us convene parents, teachers, and our village leaders to stand united in safeguarding our generation. And wherever we can, let us join hands with our senior parliamentarians, our mentors, so that our plans take root and flourish in any constituency. The journey ahead brims with promise. With the leadership of His Excellency, I envision internet centers in every ward where children in the remotest of villages will learn to code, will research and connect with the world beyond our borders. I see vocational training centers reimagined with modern workshop spaces where young carpenters, welders and designers and tech enthusiasts transform ideas into livelihoods and lift their families out of want. We, as the junior parliamentarians, will champion camps that teach leadership, financial savvy, and accessible mental health support. We will convene our own youth summit where the brightest innovations will be led by architects of our nation's future. But talk alone will not bring Zimbabwe to and build it. True progress demands action. I challenge each and every one of you. What book did you read today that sharpened your mind? Whose hand did you lift in your neighborhood, and why and how? Which new skill will you master to better serve your community? For every time you grow, Zimbabwe will grow with you. Let us reunite in youth business groups, young farmers cultivating fresh hope, young programmers crafting the next great application, young artisans turning talent into enterprise. And let us remind every decision maker, from local chiefs to the president, that we stand ready, eager to partner in Zimbabwe's success. Today, we do more than just open a session. We ignite a movement fueled by caring hearts, keen minds, and courageous spirits. We vow that no child and no place is left behind. We will be our reality, not merely our rallying cry. We promise to lift one another, to protect one another, and to believe in one another. So, junior members of parliament, speak with conviction, listen with empathy, and act with courage. Together, we will illuminate the path to a brighter Zimbabwe. It is with immense pride and unwavering faith in you that I declare the 33rd session of the Junior Parliament of Zimbabwe officially open. God bless you all, and God bless our beloved Zimbabwe. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of rulers and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of humankind. We beseech you to behold with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant us that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come upon our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those interests you have committed to our charge, all which we ask in the name and for the sake of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. I lay upon the table a speech which His Excellency, the Child President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable Lionel Mazarire, has been pleased to deliver to the Children's Parliament. Are there any notices of motions? I call upon the Honorable Child Minister of Finance and Economic Development.
Honorable Child Speaker, sir, I move that the Committee of Supply be appointed in terms of Standing Order number 123.
I put the question that the Committee of Supply be appointed in terms of Standing Order number 123. Those in favor of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed. I recognize the Honorable Child Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to seek leave of the House to suspend the provisions of Standing Order number 69, which provides that every motion requires notice. In this case, I seek to move for the suspension of this Standing Order so that we debate a critical motion today as we belatedly commemorate the Day of the African Child, which is always remembered every year on the 16th of June. Honorable Speaker, I therefore crave for leave of this august House to move this motion.
The Minister seeks leave of this House to move for the suspension of provisions of Standing Order number 69, which provides for motions without notices. Is there any objection? No objection. Agreed to. I call upon the Honorable Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs.
Honorable Speaker, I move for the suspension of provisions of Standing Order number 69 so that I introduce the motion to observe the belated commemoration of the Day of the African Child.
The question before the House is a motion by the Honorable Child Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs that the provisions of Standing Order number 69 be suspended. Is there any debate? No debate. Agreed to. Be suspended. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed, and the provisions of Standing Order number 69 are hereby suspended.
now call upon the Honorable Child Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs to introduce her motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move the motion in my name. I rise to move that whereas the Day of the African Child commemorates the sacrifices made for children's rights and calls for the continuous introspection and commitment to addressing challenges facing African children. Recognizing the theme of the 33rd session of the Zimbabwean Junior Parliament, planning and budgeting for the children's rights progress since 2010. Provides a critical opportunity to assess national efforts in upholding the rights and welfare of all children in Zimbabwe. Mr. Speaker, acknowledging the significant progress made in various policy frameworks and initiatives aimed at the improving of lives of Zimbabwean children since 2010, including the National Development Strategy and the Child Budgeting Series launched by the government of Zimbabwe in November 2021. Concerned, however, that despite these efforts, persistent challenges remain in areas such as equitable access to education, comprehensive child protection, adequate health care and nutrition, genuine child participation, often exacerbated by constrained fiscal environment, economic volatility, climate-induced emergencies, and inefficient resource distribution. Mr. Speaker, emphasizing that effective planning and child-sensitive budgeting are fundamental to translating constitutional provisions and international commitments to tangible improvements in the lives of children. Now, therefore, this House resolves to A. Call upon the government to reaffirm its commitment to the rights and welfare of all children by adopting and implementing child-sensitive planning and budgeting as the cornerstone of our national development, so as to build a resilient and prosperous future for every African child. B. Applaud the government for sterling progress made towards improving the lives of Zimbabweans since 2010. Mr. Speaker, in contributing to this motion, I wish to state that for far too long Zimbabwe has stayed amongst the midst of the wishing. But however, since this topic of concern has been put to our doorstep, this calls for action. However, I would like to applaud the Zimbabwean government for it is proactive, such that we have initiatives that cater for the enhancement of child rights, such as Education 5.0, the heritage-based curriculum that focuses on practicality, skills-based for life, and our heritage. We would also like to applaud the government of Zimbabwe for building orphanages, for taking care of people living with disability. But however, apart from the efforts being made by the government, we are still facing problems in our institutions. We are still facing problems, for example, the right to education, the right to accommodation, and the right to health care facilities. However, honorables, as we indulge in this debate, we look forward to a very insightful debate, to a very cultivative debate that brings solutions to the table and brings a brighter future for Zimbabwe. Honorable Speaker, I rest my case.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The question before the House is a motion by the Honorable Child Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, that this House, whereas the Day of the African Child commemorations of the sacrifices made for children's rights and calls for continuous introspection and commitment. To addressing challenges facing African children, recognizing the theme of the 33rd session of the Zimbabwe Junior Parliament, planning and budgeting for children's rights progress since 2010, provides a critical opportunity to assess national efforts in upholding the rights and welfare of children in Zimbabwe. Acknowledging the significant progress made in various policy frameworks and initiatives aimed at improving the lives of Zimbabwean children since 2010, including the National Development Strategy, NDS1, and the Child Budgeting Series launched by the government of Zimbabwe in November 2021. Concerned, however, that despite these efforts, persistent challenges remain in areas such as equitable access to quality education, comprehensive child protection, adequate healthcare and nutrition, and genuine child participated, often exacerbated by a constrained fiscal environment, economic volatility, climate-induced emergencies, and inefficient resource distribution. Emphasizing that effective planning and child-sensitive budgeting are fundamental to translating constitutional provisions and international commitments into tangible improvements in the lives of children. Now, therefore, this House resolves to A. Call upon the government to reaffirm its commitment to the rights and welfare of all children by adopting and implementing child-sensitive planning and budgeting as the cornerstone of our national development, so as to build a resilient and prosperous future for every child. B. Applaud the government for sterling progress made towards improving the lives of Zimbabwean children since 2010. Is there any debate? I recognize the Honorable Child Minister of Transport.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. The President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Your Excellency, President Emerson Dambuzumnanga Mazari, distinguished guests, and my fellow honorables. It is both an honor and a privilege to address this august House today on the significant strides Zimbabwe has made in advancing children's rights since 2010 and the critical role of planning and budgeting in these achievements. Over the past decade, our government has demonstrated unwavering support to the welfare of children through strategic planning and prudent budgeting lives of my fellow young citizens. One of the most notable achievements is the substantial increase in school infrastructure. In 2025 alone, we have secured funding to construct not less than 120 new schools, including 30 funded by the National Building Society and 50 through a partnership with OFID. This initiative aims to reduce the distance children travel to school, ensuring that no child is left behind due to geographical barriers. Furthermore, our collaboration with UNICEF has yielded impressive results. In 2023, we reached over 73,000 children through the Emergency Social Cash Transfer program and solarized 128 disadvantaged schools, enhancing access to energy and digital learning. However, we still face some challenges. Access to quality education in remote areas continues to be a difficulty and concern, in which we must intensify efforts to bridge this gap. Additionally, while progress has been made in healthcare, there is need to further reduce child mortality rates and improve maternal health services. In the realm of infrastructural development, the recent completion of the Trabablas interchange stands as a testament to our commitment to modernizing transport networks. This $88 million project, inaugurated in May 2025, and has significantly eased traffic congestion in this area, thereby improving access to essential services for children and families. As the Child Minister of Transport and Infrastructure Development, I wish that we celebrate our achievements and remain vigilant and continue to allocate resources. By prioritizing children's rights in our planning and budgeting process, we pave the way for a brighter future and a more equitable future for all Zimbabwean children. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Is there any further debate? I recognize Honorable Shakespeare.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. Firstly, I would like to applaud the government for everything it has done to prioritize children's rights. I'd like to take a look at child protection, child participation, and education. On child protection, the government established the Marriage Act that states that 18 years is the minimum age for marriage. It has also hosted many awareness campaigns to stop early marriages. I would like to applaud the government for implementing the pre-trial derivation with the help of UNICEF to provide a justice system that molds children and prevents further crimes. The establishment of the victim-friendly units at police stations where anyone can report abuse without fear of being ridiculed. And the establishment of junior parliament, junior councils, and child protection committees. Though progress has been made, challenges still persist. For instance, establishing some of the laws in rural and religious children's rights lack sufficient funding. And child participation, though it has increased, it lacks financing since those representing other children may only meet once a year to address their issues. To solve some of these problems, I suggest the government invest more in social infrastructure and social services to address poverty, which is an underlying cause for child marriages. I also suggest that the government provides more funding to institutions like the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission to improve its effectiveness. I would also like to take a look at education. Progress has been made. For instance, the proposal and age-based curriculum to cater for education and to make sure that each and every child can live a life in today's complex world. Schools have been built, and since last year, more than 300 examination centers were established to increase access to exams. In Zimbabwe, we used to have one state university vocational training center. Progress has been made, but there are still some disappointing gaps. Children in but they don't get the same facilities. In rural areas, 20 children share one textbook. We have read and noticed that science is a compulsory subject. But how can students, where they study at a 4-block school, study science without the facilities, without science labs? We say we are now living in a computer world, but some of the schools do not have computer labs. I recognize that the government has donated laptops to other schools, which is a great improvement, and it has also established information centers in some of the wards. The last issue that breaks my heart are teachers not attending lessons. We once lived in a Zimbabwe where students were truant, but the current Zimbabwe is showing that teachers are the ones being truant. To solve this issue, I suggest the government, instead of building more schools if it does not have enough funds, it can refurbish the already existing schools. Because I would rather go to a school 30 kilometers away from home, knowing that I get quality education, rather than walking 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers, knowing that the education I get is baseless. I also suggest that the government listens to teachers' problems so that teachers can work wholeheartedly. Because now in rural areas, children who do not go to extra lessons, they never pass. And I would also like teachers to understand the current situation in Zimbabwe and do their duty wholeheartedly as they swore when they were graduating from colleges and universities. Because you notice that these teachers are ruining the country's future if they do not give us quality education. Because as children, we are the future of the country. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Any further debate? I recognize Honorable Tavonga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to speak on behalf of the people in my constituency. Firstly, I would like to applaud the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe for drilling boreholes in schools under the Presidential Borehole Drilling Scheme. I would like to applaud the Ministry of Health and Child Care for providing free medication for children. Our program, which promotes nutrition and balanced diet for children to grow. However, some children are still going against the child is access to quality and attainable health. For us to eliminate drug and substance abuse, we need to look at the root cause. And I think the main reason to why children are taking drugs is depression and peer pressure. So I urge the Ministry of Education to support these children with serious guidance and counseling. Also, we need to clean these drug abusers before we import them back to school. Though money required for rehab, the same way it is managing to provide free drugs for people living with HIV. We need free rehabilitation facilities in our respective constituencies, because it still doesn't make sense if we send someone back to school without considering his or her health state. After leaving drugs, addicts face health problems like headaches and will be adding pain to the same child. I also urge the junior parliamentarians to report any case of drug abuse, not watching other people die in silence in the future. Let's work hand in hand and let's stop drug abuse.
The debate. I recognize Honorable T. Chiwenga.
Thank you, Mr. Honorable Speaker, sir, for giving me the opportunity to speak. I am Honorable Tendai Chiwenga, proudly representing the Murewa constituency. First, I would like to acknowledge our First Lady, Dr. Auxilia Munangagwa, for her recent visit to our health center and her generous donations to those in need. Her commitment to improving the lives of our people is commendable and inspires us all to do better. Additionally, I applaud the government's ongoing efforts to enhance healthcare accessibility across our nation, which have proven vital during challenging times. I would also like to highlight the government's significant investments in infrastructural development, which has brought remarkable improvements to our roads and public services. These initiatives are essential for fostering economic growth and ensuring that our communities thrive. The recent expansions in educational facilities underscore our commitment to quality education for all children, reflecting our dedication to nurturing future generations. Furthermore, I am proud to acknowledge the proactive measures our government has implemented to allay flood-related challenges. From investing in resilient irrigation systems to enhancing our drainage infrastructure, we are taking crucial steps to mitigate the impact of flooding on our communities. These initiatives not only protect our residents, but also ensure that our agricultural sector remains vibrant and productive. While challenges may persist, we should focus on the progress we have made and celebrate the positive direction we are heading. I urge the Ministry of Finance and Educational Infrastructure in our constituency. Investing in resilient bridges and effective drainage systems is critical in ensuring that our children can safely travel to school and access the education they deserve. Moreover, we must engage communities in participatory budgeting, allowing local voices to shape our strategies for combating these challenges. By involving parents and community leaders in the decision-making process, we can ensure that our initiatives align with the actual needs of our residents. Education remains the cornerstone of our society, and we must never lose sight of the fundamental rights of our children. Since 2010, we have made remarkable strides in advocating for children's rights, and I commend the government for its role in these advancements. Every child must have the chance to grow in an environment that protects their well-being and promotes learning. As we plan for the future at Murewa,
Order. Honorable Member, you have 30 seconds to round up your debate.
Thank you. Let us prioritize the rights of our children. Let us ensure that our planning and budgeting processes are not just strategic but also compassionate, reflecting our commitment to the next generation. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chiwenga. Is there any further debate? I recognize Honorable Chief Majoni.
Vaitabasa sachigaro nemukana wamandipa wokutaura. Chokutanga ndoda kutenda hurumende yedu nekuisa bumbiro remutemo rinova iyo rinotaura kuti ani nani ari pasi pemakore 17 anova iye anonzi mwana ane kodzero kudzidzo, zvekudya, kuhutano nekuva nechitambi chebirth certificate. Chechipiri ndoda kutenda hurumende yedu nematanho airi kuita kuti mwana wese muZimbabwe akwanise kuwana dzidzo. Mbuya nehanda izvezvi vari kunyika zimu vanenge vachinyemwerera nematanho ari kuita nehurumende yedu. Hurumende mukuburikidza nebazi rezvedefense riri kuvaka zvikoro kumaruva kwandinobva. Zvinova izvo zviri kuita kuti vana hatichadzidzire pasi pemiti. Asizve tichitaita semabhuku, makombiyuta, tanga tiri kukumbirawo kuti kumaruva kwatinobva tikwanise kuwana makombiyuta, kuti mwana wemuHarare akwanise kufananawo nemwana wekumaruva kwandinobva. Hurumende yedu yakatipa yatinoti Basic Education Assistance Module, inova iyo iri kubatsira vana kubva kupuraimari ichisvika navo kusekondari. Asizve tapedza sekondari yedu A level yedu hatina kwekuenda. Tanga tiri kukumbirawo president vedu kuti kana tapedza tiri mubhimu, tapedza form 6 yedu, tikwanise kuva isu vari pabhimu tigotanga kutariswa kuti tipinde pachirongwa chemapresidential scholarship. Asizve kumapresidential scholarships ikoko tikaenda tichida kunopinda tiri kumaruva hatina mapassports acho. Tanga tiri kukumbirawo kuti tikwanise kuwanirwa matanho ekuti mwana wekumaruva kuruzevha kwandinobva newemuHarare tifanane. Gore rakapera vatungamiri vechidiki vakaita sesu vakapiwa matablets, zvinova izvo zvinofadza. Nokuti isusu kudunhu kwandinobva ndoba ndakatanga kuona kuti iyi ndo inonzi tablet iyi yatakapiwa mumwe wedu akaiva akugore rakapera. Saka tiri kukumbira hurumende yedu kuti vechidiki vakaita sesu tichipinda muhofisi yedu tipiwewo zvekuti tishandise pagore redu iroro. Hurumende yedu payakaisa taizwa vaimbi vachiimba zigi woye zigi woye. Asizve kwatinobva kumaruzevha kwedu nemari iyo maUS saka tiri kukumbira hurumende ichiite cherechedzo pane vanhu vakutibhadharisa mari yeva-US tishandise mari yedu yenyika yedu kubhadhara mari yezvikoro. Ndine chivimbo kuti hurumende yedu nepurezidendi vedu nemaministers edu vachaita cherechedzo kumaruzevha kwatinobva kuti ini mwana wekuruzevha ndikwanise kufananawo nemwana wemuharare nemwana anobva mudhorobha, kuti tikamiswa tiri vaviri, mwana wekuruzevha nemwana wekudhorobha, tinenge takafanana. Igadzirise dzidzo yedu nezvese zvinoita nezveutano nezvemwana wemuZimbabwe. Ndatenda sachigaro.
Thank you, Honorable Chief, for your debate.
Togere kumbanas zvinhu zvega zvandichabvunza nhasi same siri kugaira hamuna kudhakwa nhasi pakuda bombi riri mubhegi ramaloti jodzi payback kuita kunge ngozi omi sazozama zvamusingagoni omi omi ndiri red flag simutai mureza makandikwana ndarembedza machechen anditani kuteta ma-fake friends anditani kuteta red flag simutai mureza makandikwana ndarembedza machechen anditani kuteta ma-fake friends anditani kuteta dzine zvigamba ndere nhaka ngarisabviswa bashi akangodzima ndini ndinotobvunzwa gasi chero mukazobhipa mhosva hatimbobvuma rasi musangobwaira ziso ngarimbovhurwa nhasi vanhu mamiro havana side vanongodhisa nengasipo link up anytime.
Sell on the street, they sell airtime, sweets and biscuits. Yes, there is youth loan given by such banks as the Empower Bank, but I noticed those officers cannot even communicate in sign language, and my colleagues, some of them don't even know about such a facility. So I recommend a better figure for support in the budget for people with disabilities towards probably business ideas. So in my case, for example, when I finish school, I may also join my colleagues on the streets because of the same challenge that I've highlighted, whereby we lack communication with those banks to give us loans. We would want to do projects like piggery, chickens, and all other projects, but I'm worried about those in the rural areas because now I appreciate there's a policy on sign language whereby now the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education is saying there's this curriculum of teaching sign language, but the teachers do not even know the sign language. So I propose a bigger budget towards training of teachers and health workers so that there is better communication.
Thank you, Honorable Kuziva. Is there any further debate? Honorable Marlehle.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. First and foremost,
I am grateful to those who came before us, as it's inspiring to note that the government of Zimbabwe has made significant progress in ensuring that every child has got access to quality education through the implementation of policies that aim at increasing the school enrollment rates and reducing the dropout rates, especially for children in rural areas. The government has also worked hand in glove with BEAM, Save the Children and UNICEF in providing school fees and bicycles to children in rural areas, making it a whole lot easier for them to get access to quality education. But today, I stand as a testament that despite this progress, challenges still persist. Matter of fact, about 30% of children in Zimbabwe are out of school. Depiction of my constituency, Lupane West, where we see children of my age who supposedly should be at school learning, but are instead doing pothole filling and carrying bags for $1, which makes it crystal clear that there are some children whose right to education is being deprived from them. Now, we possess a grievance that the government must intervene in by allocating more resources to rural areas, prioritizing those with greatest needs, and must implement better planning, increased funding, and stronger accountability in all sectors that impact our children's rights to education. With this all said, I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Malehle. Is there any further debate from the House? I recognize Honorable Chief Zoro Patience.
Tinotenda sachigaro Zoro. Zita rangu ndinonzi Patience Gawa. Ndinoda kutenda hurumende yedu, vatungamiri vose vedu vanotitungamirira nekutungamirira nyika zvakanaka. Uyezve ndinoda kutenda kuti vana vechikoro vava kurapwa muzvipatara mahara. Ndinoda kutendazve hurumende yedu nekuti iri kupa vana vechikoro chikafu pachikoro, izvo zvinova zvinobatsiridza kuti vana vasafenda vari pakudzidza. Ndinoda kutendazve kuti hurumende yedu iri kuvakisa zvikoro zvakawanda, uyezve iri kuwedzera vadzidzisi avo vanokwanisa kutipa dzidzo yakadzama muzvikoro zvatiri kuwana kwatinogara. Ndakamirira dunhu rangu rekwaChief Dzoro. Isusu kwedu vana vanoda kuenda kuzvipatara vanofamba makilomita anodarika 10 nekuda kwekuti zvipatara zviri kure, vana vakufanira kukwira mota kuti vaende kuchipatara. Izvo zvinoti kana munhu achirwara usina mari zvotareva kuti haurapwi. Saka taikumbirawo hurumende itivakirawo zvipatara pedo nedzimba dzedu. Taikumbirawo zvekuti hurumende kana yaizokwanisa kutipawo vana chiremba vemumisha avo vanokwanisa kutipa rubatsiro sezvo zvipatara zviri kure. Uyezve takutaura kunyaya dzedzidzo, hurumende ndinoda kuitenda kwazvo. Iri kutipa mabhuku ekuti tiverenge, iri kutivakira zvikoro zvakawanda kwazvo. Asi kuchikoro kwedu kwandinodzidza ini, vana takawandisa mukirasirumu imwe. Kirasirumu ine vana vanodarika 50. Izvo zvinoita kuti vana tisadzidza zvakanaka. Semazuva ano ekupisawo ndiyo nguva inowana vana kuvata nekuti vana vanenge vachipiswa. Uyezve vana vakawandisa mudzikirasirumu, mudzidzisi umwe hangakwanisi kudzidzisa vana vanodarika 50. Tinotenda.
Thank you, Honorable Chief. Is there any further debate from the House? I recognize Honorable Member Thomas Chiguaro.
Honorable Speaker, sir, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. So, honorable members, since 2010, our nation has made commendable strides in recognizing children's rights, yet cultural education continues to be underfunded. A music band, specifically the G5 music band, is currently delivering messages on anti-drug and substance abuse. Recently, they produced an anthem urged to our youth so that they can actually avoid drugs and substance abuse. And now, my case is that this was an example of a pioneer board which is financially struggling. The main agenda of the statements above is that I urge the government that they make amendments on the budget so that they can actually accommodate for both music and education to pave way for future and our cultural identity. This requisition is to recognize and subsidize our emerging artists to improve the art industry. So, moving on. First of all, I would like to applaud the government of Zimbabwe for what it has done. The government of Zimbabwe is commended for commitment to upholding and development of young citizens. Initiatives such as the National Policy and the ZIM Agenda of Sustainable Socio-Economic Transformation, specifically the ZIM Asset, demonstrates on declaration to addressing the rights of children and ensuring their access to essential services like education, healthcare, and protection. By prioritizing children's rights, the government is not only fulfilling its obligation under the international conventions like the UNCRC, but also investing in the culture, in the future of the nation. Now, bringing in the statistics. In Zimbabwe, we have approximately 6.3 children. And then as we have 6.3 children, you find that 4.8...
Order, Honorable Member. Please retract your statement about Zimbabwe having 6.3 children. Give us actual statistics.
Indeed, sir. So, first of all, I say that approximately we have 6.3, approximately. And then, you find that 4.8...
Honorable Member. We don't have 6.3 children in Zimbabwe. Give us the actual number of children in Zimbabwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. So, we have different statistics. We have some which say that we have 6.3, and then we also have some which say we have...
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the outgoing child president, Pius Nleya, for grooming me until I become a member of this august house. The Ministry of Information, Communication, Technology, Postal and Courier Services in Zimbabwe is deserving of sincere appreciation for introducing the Cyber and Data Protection Act of 2021 as a step to protect children from online abuse and harassment. Section 164B of the Criminal Law Codification and Reform Act outlines penalties for cyberbullying with fines up to level 10 and imprisonment up to 10 years. However, despite these policies, cyberbullying continues to be the order of the day in my constituency of Pumula in Bulawayo. And the occurrence of this devastating scourge is sponsored by insufficient enforcement. The Postal and Telecommunication Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe has taken strong measures against it, but enforcement still remains a challenge. And deterrence. Another issue is the anonymity. Social media platforms makes it difficult to track and hold perpetrators accountable. Therefore, I, the Child Minister of Information, Communication, Technology, Postal and Courier Services of Zimbabwe, strongly believe that together with Honorable Tatenda Mavheteri, we can effectively combat cyberbullying by enhancing Portra's authority and resources to monitor and regulate online content, working with social media platforms to develop effective reporting and addressing mechanisms for cyberbullying, and lastly, to support the victims of cyberbullying. With that being said, I extend my gratitude.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Is there any further debate in the House? I recognize Honorable Ndlovu Nokutenda.
Thank you, Honorable Mr. Speaker, sir. I thank you very much for this opportunity once again. I come from Masvingo province, and specifically from the town of Chirezi. And I would love to applaud our government for initiatives that are being moved forward in order to reduce our teenage pregnancies. Where we see to it that our very own Amai Auxiliary Mnangagwa has managed to actually implement vocational training programs that are teaching our youth on livelihood activities such as sewing and actually cookery activities. Now, I also want to acknowledge and applaud our government that they've actually managed to put forward that even a girl child who has been impregnated will continue to go to school, as we are going hand in hand with Chapter 2 of the Declaration of Child Rights, Section 76, which says that every single child has the right to health. But however, we have a rise in young teenage prostitution. Now we see to it that these youth have nothing to do. And above all, it is actually the age of 13 to 18, where during the O break and the A breaks of our exam period, these youth are engaging in such activities. Now there is a rise in HIV cases. Therefore, I do put forward to the Ministry of Health that they may make a plan, that a budget be posed, that more funds may be allocated towards Chirezi to ensure that there is adequate supply of PrEP treatment and the antiretroviral treatment. Now we also have the issue of drug and substance abuse. Yes, every single constituency has a problem, but it comes to Chirezi where it is very concerning that we campaign. I would like to applaud our government that campaigns are being held both online and physically every week. But however, we see to it that as much as we are making this effort to campaign in schools, to campaign online, there is the issue of environment, Mr. Speaker said. When we campaign at school, but that same very child go back home where the parent is actually the local best drug dealer. So what are we saying? We should actually ensure that there is a fund that is posed to actually coordinate some patrols, because us as the youth, we do know these drug bases, and we do acknowledge that if the government, our very own government, works hand in hand with us, we shall ensure that these criminals are put to book. And on top of that, I would again want to acknowledge and applaud our government for the efforts that is making. With this, I raise my case.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Is there any further debate from the House? I recognize Honorable Benhilda.
My name is Honorable Senator Benhilda Chisema. I would like to appreciate the government of Zimbabwe because in Section 6 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, sign language is acknowledged as one of the 16 indigenous officially acceptable languages, and the National Disability Policy, which was launched by our very own government through the leadership of His Excellency Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa. I would like to really acknowledge the launch of that disability policy, which speaks to taking care of the rights of children with disabilities. There's been a lot of effort towards including sign language as an official language in schools, and government efforts are such that now it is law to teach children in sign language. And unfortunately, I realized that the language is not among the teachers. Yes. Amongst the teachers, most of them lack the knowledge in sign language, and we, the students, especially in the secondary school, are having our time wasted teaching the teachers first to know our language, then they can teach us the curriculum. So big efforts have been made towards this gesture, and I really appreciate. Unfortunately, like I was saying, the budget, yes, it has taken care of policy issues. However, the gap still remains in the training part, whereby there is not much training. So I would like the budget to really look seriously into putting a lot of money in training sign language interpreters for health services, because at the hospitals, girls are dying who are pregnant, and yet the nurses cannot communicate. Probably they are giving them the wrong medication. The doctors don't know the sign language, so I'm not sure how they are diagnosing the deaf child who's sick. So I really appeal to the government to increase the budget, especially for training, because even at the prisons, there is not much sign language. At the judiciary, there is not much sign language. A lot of people do not know this language. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Benilda. Is there any further debate from the House? I recognize Honorable Anotidaisha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Right. Before I rush over to my topic, I would like to thank the government for introducing articles and circulars. For example, Article number 5, it says the government must promote all development stages for all children. And also, I would like to thank the government for introducing this circular number 16, which says every child has a right to live in a good environment. I would like to thank the Minister of Education, of Youth Care, for Permanent Secretary Dr. Access Maunganidze services as a Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Youth Care and Child Care. Right.
Honorable Member, it's the Ministry of Health and Child Care.
Sorry, Mr. Sen. So, I would like the government to recognize us as Mashonaland Central, especially in Ande area. Why did I say this? Because in Ande area we are facing many challenges. For example, we have human-animal conflict. We have lost 2 adult people who were attacked by elephant. We also have 7 children who have died due to malaria. Because in Ande area is a home of mosquito. Honorable Sim, we also have...
Honorable Member, I am not Honorable Sir.
Sorry.
I am the Speaker of the House.
Sorry, Sam. Sorry. We also have inaccessible, very poor roads to network. We also have not enough hospitals. We only have 1 hospital in our Ande area and 1 doctor. Yet you need to attend 16 patients. Would you be able to attend those people? No, and that's a big problem. Honorable Sim, in my recommendation...
Honorable Member, I am not Honorable Sir. I am the Speaker of the House. Would you kindly take your seat?
Thank you.
Order. Order. Is there any further debate? I recognize Honorable Emmanuel.
I thank you for this opportunity, Honorable Speaker Sir. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our respected honorables, His Excellency Dr. Iti Mnangagwa, Dr. Constantino Chiwenga, and Opa Mchunguri Kashiri, and many others. My debate. Yes, it is a great cancer, but they say it takes a village to raise a child. We have many cases of teenage pregnancies in most of our constituencies. But yes, the government has made strides in order to tackle this problem. We have village chiefs, we have leaders in those rural areas. However, cases of teenage pregnancies still occur. But with thanks to the government, it works hand in hand with organizations such as CAMFED, Campaign for Female Education, UNICEF, and BIM, in order to best tackle this problem of teenage pregnancies. Yes, I am evidence that provides a testament that girls in my constituency have been provided with sanitary wear and are allowed to go to school even after being pregnant. In the course of their pregnancy, they are given the chance to learn and finish their education. This is a sign and shows how much the strides that the government has taken. And the last part that I'm going to emphasize is the curriculum. The government is really taking high strides at a faster pace in order to provide for the right of education to children. In my previous school, Regina Mundi Secondary School in Lupane, the government officials of the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education came to our school in order to hear our opinions, to provide also for the right of participation, to hear our opinions on how we want to learn. Yes, they came, we provided that we want to learn with teachers, working hand in hand with presentations. This is a sign. What more can we want? With much being said, I would like to thank the government with these strides. Honorable Speaker, say, I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Emmanuel. I now call upon the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs to move for the adoption of the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir. Honorable Child Speaker, I move that the motion be now adopted.
I put the question that the motion be now adopted. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the motion adopted. I shall now suspend business of the day and allow our honorable seniors, ministers of government, to respond to the issues that have been raised by the Children's Parliament.
The President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Your Excellency, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable General Retired Dr. C.G.D.N. Chiwenga, the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable Colonel Retired K.C.D. Mohadi, the Minister of Defense and Chairperson of ZANU-PF, Honorable OCZ Kashiri Mchingwe, the Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Advocate JFN Mutenda in absentia, the President of the Senate, Honorable MM Chinomona, the Minister of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training, Honorable T. Machagaile, and all ministers here present, the Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution for Harare Metropolitan Province, Honorable C. Tawengwa, and all ministers of Provincial Affairs and Devolution here present, the Deputy Minister of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training, Honorable K. Mpamanga, and all Deputy Ministers here present, Chairpersons of Portfolio and Thematic Committees, Senators and Members of Parliament here present, the Chief Secretary to the President and Cabinet, Dr. M. Rushwaya, Chairman of the Public Service Commission, Dr. V. Ungwe, Permanent Secretaries here present, Senior Government Officials here present, the Child President, Your Excellency, Lionel Mazalire, the Speaker of the Children's Parliament, Michael Ndabani, the President of the Children's Senate, Chinaye Ishe Manyere, members of the Children's Parliament, the Children's Council, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, boys and girls. Solomon Mhlanga is my name, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training. Your Excellency, sir, thank you for providing our young people with this amazing and important opportunity to engage you and your government. Through the Junior Parliament of Zimbabwe, government gets to interact with our youth to understand their views so as to create a world in which they feel they belong to. We have just witnessed an eye-opening session, one in which the young people allowed us into their thoughts, views, and concerns as well as fears. The well-articulated presentations by the young people were also reflective of the trust they have in you, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in the government engagement session, to which I would like to welcome you all. This segment provides us with an important opportunity to have a candid conversation with our young people. Your Excellency, with your permission, sir, I will be inviting cabinet ministers who have been requested to respond to issues raised by the young people in their debate to make brief remarks in response to those issues. Your Excellency, this program has enjoyed a lot of support from the UN family, which is led by Mr. E. Kalon, the UN resident coordinator, who is represented here in the chamber by Ms. Miranda Tabifo, the UNFPA representative. While our ministers are preparing themselves, please allow me, Your Excellency, to call upon Ms. Jackie Kabambe from UNICEF so that they can give a solidarity message on behalf of all the UN agencies and the development partners. Ms. Kabambe.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Dr. Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa, the First Lady of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. Amai Auxilia Mnangagwa in absentia, the Vice Presidents of the Republic of Zimbabwe, General Retired Dr. C.G.D.N. Chiwenga, and Colonel Retired Honorable K.C.D. Mohadi, the Minister of Defense and Chairperson of ZANU-PF, Comrade Opa Kashiri Mushinguri, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Advocate J.F.N. Mudenda in absentia, President of the Senate, Honorable Chinomona, Your Excellency, the Child President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Lionel Mazarire, Children's Parliament, and Cabinet, and all children present here, allow me to ride on the already established protocol. Your Excellency, it is with great pride and humility that I join you in the opening of the 33rd Children's Parliament of Zimbabwe, an important platform that amplifies the voices of children in Zimbabwe. Today, we are also gathered here to celebrate the Day of the African Child. This day is rooted in the memory of the 1976 Soweto uprising, when brave young people demanded access to quality education that respected their dignity. Their courage sparked a lasting movement for children's rights across Africa. This year's theme, Planning and Budgeting for Children's Rights, Progress since 2010, calls on us to honor that legacy. It challenges us to reflect, take stock, and renew our commitment to placing children at the heart of national. To our newly elected child president, Honorable Lionel, Your Excellency Lionel Mazarire, and to all child parliamentarians, I say congratulations. Your role is very strategic. You have been elected to speak for the voiceless, to elevate the concerns of children from every corner of Zimbabwe, and to influence real policy change. Let your voices rise in the chambers of parliament, of ministries, and in your schools and villages. demand that we plan and budget not only with children in mind, but with children at the center. Your Excellency, UNICEF commends your unwavering commitment to children. Your hosting of the 6 heads of state and government representative at the 2024 World Children's Day in Victoria Falls set a new benchmark for political will and regional solidarity around children's rights. We also applaud the government's progressive policy frameworks under National Development Strategy 1, as well as the passage of the key legislation, such as the Marriage Act, Education Act, and the Children's Amendment Act, which are driving real change. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, and dearest children, this year's theme is not a call to celebrate past efforts. It is a wake-up call to ask, have we done enough? Our budgets are not merely financial documents. They are moral blueprints. And today, the blueprint must be bold. Our 2022 census is telling us that Zimbabwe is home to one of the youngest populations in Africa, with over 48% under the age of 18. This is not statistics. This is a national asset, a source of resilience, creativity, and growth. Your Excellency, Zimbabwe has made important strides in developing strong policy frameworks for children's well-being. However, key child-focused sectors still face funding challenges that limit their full impact. For instance, while health receives around 10.9% of the budget, it remains below the Abuja target of 15%. Education spending, though increased to 20.6% of the 2025 budget, still falls short of global benchmarks when measured as a share of GDP, and much of it is directed towards salaries, with less available for infrastructure and learning materials. Your Excellency, we recognize and commend your government's bold national innovations, such as the AIDS levy, which is ensuring steady domestic financing for life-saving access to HIV treatment services. The health levy, which is contributing to child health by improving access to essential medicines, maternal and newborn care, and stronger health systems. Sweetened beverages tax, also known as cancer levy, which was introduced to help fund cancer prevention treatment and research initiatives. These are investments that offer returns in human capital, productivity, and national prosperity. Your Excellency, every investment in a child is a direct investment in the future strength and success of our country, because tackling stunting in children can raise GDP by up to 3% annually. Educating the girl child delays marriage, reduces fertility, and boosts household incomes. Ending violence and neglect in childhood saves up to 8% of global GDP. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, we, the adults gathered here today, owe Zimbabwe's children a future filled with opportunity, safety, and hope, not through words alone, but through action, not just by enacting laws, but by funding them, not just through speeches, but through the effective implementation of budgets that deliver real change for children. Your Excellency, as global support becomes harder to find, Zimbabwe must not miss important chances to help its children. The Child Nutrition Fund is one such opportunity. It matches every dollar the government invests to improve child nutrition. UNICEF therefore urges the government of Zimbabwe to act quickly and invest in this fund. This will help more children grow up healthy, show strong leadership, and build a better, more self-reliant future for all. Additionally, the finalization and approval by the Cabinet of the school financing policy will create a framework that promotes increased investment in the education sector and ensure that education is state-funded, thereby realizing every child's right to free quality education in Zimbabwe. by removing financial barriers, the policy will increase access, will promote equity, will reduce dropout rates, and will contribute to national development through a better educated population. Your Excellency, Zimbabwe is prone to climate challenges like droughts, floods, and health risks, and children are often the most affected. It is therefore important for social sectors, especially the budgets in education, health, and child protection, to include climate resilience. Child parliamentarians can play a key role by making sure children's voices help shape a safer, more sustainable future. To you, esteemed child parliamentarians, this is your moment. Advocate not just for your needs, but for those children who have no voice. The child with a disability in rural Zimbabwe, the orphaned teenager in peri-urban areas, that girl from rural Zimbabwe facing child marriage, that child who is being trafficked and forced into child labor. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, and our esteemed children, let us make 2025 the year we move from commitments to allocations and from plans to results. Let us ensure that every child in Zimbabwe, from all corners of our nation, is reached. When we plan and budget for children, we are investing in the future of Zimbabwe. And when we act with urgency, with courage, and with vision, no child and no community will be left behind. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kabambe from UNICEF. As we proceed with our program, Your Excellency, I'm mindful of the time. Allow me to invite the President of the Senate, Honorable M.M. Chinomona, to present themselves and make a remarks. Honorable Chinomona.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable Dr. C.G.D.N. Chiwenga, the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable Colonel Retired K.C.D. Mohadi, the Chairman of ZANU-PF and Minister of Defense, Honorable O.C.Z. Muchinguri Kashiri, the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Advocate J.F.N. Mudenda in absentia, the Honorable Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Tsigezi. Your Excellency, would you please allow me to write on the protocol already established? It is with immense pleasure that I address you all today, particularly to celebrate the vital role of the Junior Parliament of Zimbabwe in shaping the legislative architecture of the nation. This esteemed body, established in 1991 under the ministry responsible for youth, serves as a cornerstone for youth leadership and development, and serves as a powerful platform for the young generation to engage directly and contribute to the effective governance of our nation. Your Excellency, from the onset, I wish to commend and wholeheartedly appreciate the exceptional composition of our Junior Parliament, with a total of 360 vibrant young members. This assembly truly embodies the rich and diverse fabric of our great nation. I am especially moved by the strong representation of girls within this esteemed body. An impressive 230 out of 360 members are girls, amounting to a remarkable 64% of the junior parliament. This extraordinary statistic is a testament to Your Excellency's unwavering commitment to empowering the girl child and amplifying their voices in all matters of national importance. Moreover, the inclusion of 10 children with disabilities underscores our dedication to ensure that every child, regardless of their circumstances, has the opportunity to participate in a truly democratic and progressive society. Your Excellency, the Junior Parliament is not just a symbolic assembly. It is a dynamic and active body with clearly defined and impactful roles. Our young parliamentarians are actively engaged in advocating and lobbying for children's rights, ensuring that welfare and protection of every child remain at the forefront of our national agenda. They work to enhance children's leadership qualities, providing invaluable experience in public speaking, debate, and consensus building. They also promote child participation in all sectors of the economy, recognizing that the insights and perspectives of young people are crucial for sustainable development. While the junior parliament may not possess the power to enact laws, their influence is undeniable. They are afforded a unique opportunity to witness the legislative process firsthand and critically to participate in its making. Their designated roles include engaging the government at official openings and other gatherings to participate in decision-making around legislation and policies that directly affect children. They are also involved in gathering data on public issues, providing valuable ground-level insights. Additionally, they contribute to government planning and budgeting exercises, ensuring that youth perspectives are integrated into national financial framework, and they play a role in monitoring the quality of services and facilities provided to children and young people. Finally, they are instrumental in evaluating the success of government policies, programs, projects, and services, offering a critical youth lens on our national efforts. Indeed, the youth of Zimbabwe represent a critical constituency in our nation's development. Their energy, innovation, and fresh perspectives are indispensable. By investing in platforms like the Junior Parliament, we are not only nurturing future leaders, but also strengthening our democracy by ensuring that the voices of those who will inherit this nation are heard today. Your Excellency, permit me to commend the exemplary conduct of the Junior Parliament as they execute the procedures of the House with precision and unwavering determination. Surely I am confident that the enactment of legislation that responds not only to the future needs of this country and its diversity is in good and solid hands. Let us therefore cherish the promise, solid hands, and promise that lies within our youth. Their boundless energy, innovative spirit, and unyielding commitment to justice and equality are the beacons that will guide our nation to a brighter and more inclusive future. You will all agree with me, and what you have seen is a testament to the remarkable impact of the Junior Parliament. This vital platform is not only cultivating future leaders, but also visionary pioneers who will shape a sovereign, prosperous, and inclusive Zimbabwe for generations to come. Together, let us continue to empower our young voices, for they are the architects of tomorrow's Zimbabwe. I thank you.
Thank you very much, President of the Senate. Your Excellency, we are now entering that session where we will be having responses from the honorable ministers, and we will be having responses from the following